Hi everyone, welcome back to Behring's EB-5 channel. There's a lot to cover today. The November visa bulletin is out, early in fact. No major changes, but we'll highlight the key dates to watch for. I also wanted to share with you some recent updates from USCIS. First, USCIS announced an increase to the maximum validity of the EAD card. And two, USCIS issued new guidance redefining how long an EB-5 investor must sustain their investment while still qualifying for the EB-5 visa. This new guidance is huge, and it solves the notorious redeployment problem for EB-5 investors. Now, Behring will be hosting a webinar next week to cover these issues in depth, Wednesday, October 18th at 4 p.m. Pacific. I'll put a link in the description below to register. Don't worry if you can't make it live, we will make a replay available. If you're new here to Behring's EB-5 channel, I do encourage you to subscribe. We cover the ins and outs of the EB-5 Investor Visa Program and other important visa news for families seeking to obtain permanent legal residence in the United States. We'll soon be posting videos offering deeper dives in today's topics, so watch out for those. Now first, the November Visa Bulletin. No changes this month, as we're early in the fiscal year 2024. EB-1 is current for all countries except for China and India. For India, the final action date is January 1st, 2017. See our October Visa Bulletin where we kind of go in a little bit deeper dive on the EB-1 and EB-2 categories for India. EB-2 and EB-3 is backlogged for all countries. With an increased demand by the rest of the world, retrogression for India is exacerbated. For fiscal year 2024, we're essentially back to pre-COVID pandemic visa numbers. We can no longer expect major movements in these categories without the rollover of unused family-based visas that we saw during those pandemic years. EB-5 remains current for new investors filing petitions in rural, high unemployment, and infrastructure projects. For pre-EB-5 Reform Act investors, China is still stuck at October 2015, and India has a retrogression date of December 15, 2018. The positive news here is that Table B, the dates for filing, is January 1st, 2017 for China and April 1st, 2022 for India. USCIS has indicated that for filing your adjustment of status, if you're in the United States, you can use Table B for November. This means if your priority date is before January 2017 for China and April 2022 for India, you may file your adjustment of status applications. This can enable you to get an employment authorization card. It can also help families who are in the United States filing their adjustment of status to lock in any children's ages to prevent any potential age out. And this brings me to my first recent announcement to talk about today from USCIS. EB-5 investors who are in the United States and who have taken advantage of concurrent filing of the I-45 adjustment of status application with their I-526 EB-5 petition, you can now file your adjustment of status and you get a 5-year EAD card or work authorization permit. This EAD is unrestricted. That means it doesn't require an employer sponsor. It gives you the freedom to open up your own business, work wherever for whomever you wish, just like having a green card. Now, instead of having to renew the EAD card for 1 or 2 year periods, you have the stability of enjoying the benefits of the green card for a 5-year period while you're waiting for your EB-5 petition to be approved. Now note, the USCIS has not given express guidance on advanced parole periods, which is still issued for 1 or 2 year periods. Advanced parole is the visa-free travel permit that allows you to travel freely to and from the United States without the need for visa stamps. Now, we have heard of some people getting 5-year advanced parole approvals, but we don't know that might be an error. It might be a trend, but we have to wait for USCIS to issue guidance on that. The second major announcement that came today, USCIS issued guidance redefining the 2-year sustainment rule for EB-5 investors. When the EB-5 Reform and Integrity Act was passed last year, the language seemed to indicate that the 2-year sustainment rule for maintaining your investment was changing. Historically, EB-5 investors have had to maintain their investment through the end of their 2-year conditional residence period. That is, you had to stay invested until you've already had your conditional green card for 2 years and filed the I-829 petition to remove the conditions of your green card. Because of long processing times or worse visa backlogs, many investors, especially those from China and India, have been required to keep their funds invested beyond the typical 5-year investment period of a project because of these delays, even if their project was already completed and the U.S. jobs were created. Regional centers were required in these situations to redeploy the investors' funds to new projects, which understandably creates additional worries for EB-5 families if these funds are not managed by an experienced regional center and developer. I'll put a link to USCIS's announcement in the description below, but today USCIS clarified that this 2-year sustainment period begins from the date that your funds are invested in the new commercial enterprise. This means you do not need to wait until you've had your conditional green card for 2 years and filed your 829 petition to be eligible for repayment. Now, a couple of key items. One, this applies only to post-RIA investors, not to EB-5 investors who filed their petitions before March 15, 2022. Two, the 2-year period begins from the date that all funds are invested in the new commercial enterprise. So if an EB-5 investor is investing in stages and completes the funding 6 to 12 months after filing, the 2-year period will start later. We'll discuss all this in greater detail in our webinar next week, Wednesday, October 18th at 4 p.m. Pacific. So again, be sure to register. What does this mean for EB-5 investors? Well, it's important to recognize that the jobs must still be created to qualify for the permanent green card. Under the RIA, a project that has a 2-year or longer construction timeline can create more jobs, making it easier for EB-5 investors to satisfy the job creation requirement. For larger institutional quality projects, time is needed for construction completion to create those jobs and to stabilize and refinance the project to repay the EB-5 capital. So projects may still yet have a 4 to 5 year timeline just to responsibly complete a project and return the full capital to the EB-5 investors. But what we do know is that this guidance immediately solves the issue of redeployment. Once a project is completed, the jobs created, and the project is refinanced or sold, the EB-5 capital repaid to the new commercial enterprise, the regional center no longer needs to redeploy your funds, even if you have not yet filed your I-829 petition for your permanent green card. What we don't know yet, and this is what USCIS will need to clarify, is if you can file your I-829 petition immediately after you've sustained your investment for 2 years and you can prove the jobs were created. We'll discuss this again on our webinar next week, Wednesday, October 18th at 4 p.m. Pacific. Our replay will be available. Be sure to register. A link to register is in the description below. I hope this video was useful for you. I thank you again for watching, and I'll look forward to seeing you in the next video. Thank you.